What if I was to give you incredible success, but you're stressed, burnt out, and you lose the relationship you have with your friends and family as a result? Or I give you incredible financial success beyond your wildest means, but you have a terminal illness and you'll die tomorrow? What about if you have incredible relationships, deep, trusting, incredible connections with the people around you, and you make great rapport with people you meet immediately, but you have zero progression in terms of your career and your lifestyle? Or the flip side, you have all kinds of career development opportunities that you take and you get immediately. No matter where you go, you're given favor, but you lose your relationships as a result. One of the things I found about life is a lot of these things are connected. And what we sometimes run the risk of doing is having a look at different areas of our lives as if they're an island and they're not connected to other parts of our life. And a really good tool to look at this in a holistic way is the Wheel of Life, which is an ancient Buddhist practice. And you would see it on the sides of Tibetan temples, for example. And it's a really good tool to take a step back and take stock of your life as a whole. The way it works is this. You have a wheel, you have a central point and spokes coming out from the center. Each of those spokes is a different area of your life, marked between 0 and 10. What we do is we rate ourselves up to 10 in each of those areas. And the idea is you can see whereabouts on the fulfillment meter you are. It's a really good tool to bring into a tangible, measurable way what we experience life as, because otherwise you can just have this feeling in general. I feel like I'm doing well, I feel like I'm doing terribly, or I feel like I'm stressed and burnt out. But without breaking it down into manageable chunks, we don't actually know what it is that we can do something about. And this has been a really great tool for me. One of the things I've noticed is that some people do it in January as part of their New Year's resolution exercise, but I would actually advise or offer for people to try it more frequently than that, maybe quarterly, maybe monthly, sometimes even weekly in small doses, but something where you can take stock of your life, so you can see where you are, where you want to go, and what you need to do to get there. But it's a really simple exercise that I'll break down in a moment. If I haven't met you before, my name is Andre Bright from Sierra Leone. I'm an executive coach, and this series is just sharing my knowledge and experiences as I go, things I use with clients, but also things you can use for yourself. Let's break it down, shall we? I'm going to show you what the 9 areas are. And remember, this is something that has been done for hundreds, maybe even thousands of years. But if you want to create your own, you just look at what your priorities are in life, and you can create your wheel with your own priorities on there. So the 9 areas that we look at with the Wheel of Life are as follows. Number 1 is career and work. Number 2, finances. Number 3, health and well-being. Number 4 is relationships. Number 5 is personal growth and learning. Number 6 is recreational fun. Number 7 is mindfulness and Number 7 is environment and surroundings. Number 8 is spirituality and mindfulness. Number 9 is contributions and giving back. And here are 5 questions that I use for the Wheel of Life to help me answer, see where I am and take stock and where I need to go in each of those areas. The same questions that I apply to all 9 spokes. Number 1, where would I rate this area on a scale of 1 to 10? Number 2, what factors are influencing that rating right now? Number 3, what steps can I take to get closer to 10? Number 4, what are the barriers stopping me from doing that? And number 5, what can I do to reduce or remove those barriers? Going through each of those 9 sections and asking those 5 questions can really help break down what is actually challenging you in that moment and what you can actually do about it. The way those words are phrased, it doesn't ask why, it doesn't ask anything like that. It actually assumes that there is an answer to those questions. And it might be within your own means, it might mean pooling on the resources and people around you, but there's going to be an answer to those questions. And it really helps me, and it might really help you as well. So let's dive into some of those individually. Number 1, career and work. 3 questions that I ask myself specifically with this area. Number 1, am I satisfied with the career or job as it is? If so, that's great. If not, What changes do I need to make to find greater fulfillment within that role as it is? Number 2, how can I align my work with my passions and values to create a sense of purpose? We've all seen the Great Resignation and people are coming back to work now, but they're still lacking fulfillment. What can we do to create fulfillment within that role? Number 3 is, what steps can I take to advance in my career and explore new opportunities? There might be an element of me and my personal development I want to explore, or maybe I want to try and see what a different department does and how this influences that. It might require you speaking to other people from different companies, or going to different events so you can see what other people are doing to find these kind of things in fulfillment. Whatever it is, it's getting out there and giving it a try. Number 2 is finances. So 3 questions I ask myself in terms of finances. Number 1 is, how satisfied am I with my current financial situations, and what steps can I take to improve it? One of the things that I have found, just as full transparency, there's an element of tangible things that you can do. You can get wealth advisors, you can save, you can reduce your spending, you can invest, and all those kind of things. But one of the things that is also an element might be your mindset. It's good to also search and ask yourself, what beliefs do I have that are holding me back from reaching higher financially? It might be a case where you've never put that many zeros into a quote before if you're working for yourself. It might be that there's a role you're looking for which is offering more salary, or maybe double or triple what you're earning right now, and you're kind of wondering if you're worth that. There might be other kind of things that are happening within internally that might be worth exploring, because otherwise, no matter what we do, we might be holding ourselves back. Number 2, as a question, is, am I spending money in alignment with my values and priorities? The first step to this is understanding what my values and priorities are, and knowing that they might change over time. Except for the core values. The core values are probably going to stay the same since childhood till now, but then there are going to be values that are going to be adapting to your current circumstances. Your values might change if you have a child, if you move country, if you decide to start a business of your own, if you decide that you're going to fund a project. Whatever it is, your values might change through time, or as you get older, just in general, you see things differently. And is the way I'm spending money in line with all that? There was a quote somewhere, I can't remember who it was by, but they said every penny you spend is supporting the world that you are creating, or something along those lines. And it's good to kind of take stock in that sense as well. I am contributing financially into things based on I am contributing to this future that we're creating. Number 3 on that question is, what financial goals do I want to achieve in the short and long term? And what actions will I take to reach them? Not might, or do I want to, will I take? Put some responsibility on there, accountability. In terms of the financial goal, it's really helpful to be very clear, very specific. We've heard of SMART goals, right? Specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. Think to myself, when do I want to achieve this goal? How much do I want in my bank versus in stocks and shares versus in savings versus in investments? Think to ourselves, what does that look like really? How will I know I've achieved it? Is it something that's so specific I'm able to tick it off? If not, you can find yourself just going in circles, or it might not give you enough of enough gravitas to fight for. So next up is health and well-being. So 3 questions I ask myself in this area are, how would I rate my overall health and well-being? What changes do I need to make to improve it? Now, some people might have their different goals. You want to lose weight, you want to gain weight, you want to gain muscle, you want to be fit or be able to run the marathon, whatever that might be. There might be short-term and long-term goals you want. There might be an event, or you're trying to get your summer body in shape, whatever it might be, but understand why you're trying to do that and be able to rate it alongside it. Now, your health and well-being covers everything, right? Your physical, mental, emotional, and all of the things tying together. So what number would you give that in general? Sometimes you might actually consider breaking this down into sections and looking at physical well-being individually, mental well-being individually, emotional well-being individually, because the solutions and what you do to be able to proceed in each of those areas might be completely different. Physical well-being, I might get a personal trainer who might do my nutrition and everything like that. Mental well-being, I may have a coach, or read certain books or go to certain courses. Or emotional well-being, I might have a therapist or look at communication or emotional intelligence programs. All right, so number 2 is, am I prioritizing self-care activities that support my physical, mental, and emotional well-being? Self-care is huge. How would I treat someone else if they were going through what I'm going through, or if they were in my particular period in life? What would I advise them? What would I say to them? Especially if you're suffering from things like burnout, stress, or any of those kind of things, what would you say? Like, how would you create space for yourself within your days, within your weeks, within your months, within your year, with the people around you, with the things that matter, so that you find balance within your everyday life? Does it look like getting a massage? Does it mean having a weekend away in the hills? Is it being by large bodies of water? I know with me, for example, I feel much more soothed when I can hear the sea in the background. It might mean finding yourself, like, buying yourself a nice meal, or having a takeout as something for yourself, or watching your favorite movie, your feel-good movie. It can come in any way, shape, or form, listening to your favorite album, whatever that might be. And number 3 is, what steps can you take to establish healthier habits and create a more balanced lifestyle? There's a book called Atomic Habits by James Clear, which is really good at how to build and break down habits. So how to build good habits and break down bad habits. If you haven't read it, have a read, because it really goes to show that some of the little things we do during the days really build up accumulatively. And one of the things that is good to note as well is that habits aren't just things like what I do when I wake up. It's also the decisions we make. It's also how we respond to stress. It's also cycles that we find ourselves in financially. All these things are things that are all involved in what our habits are. So the question is, what actions can I take? What steps can I take to establish healthier habits and create a more balanced lifestyle? It might look like setting boundaries. All those things are involved as well. Number 4 is relationships on our spoke. And 3 questions I'd ask are: number 1, how satisfied am I with the relationships with family, friends, or significant others? Number 2 is, am I investing enough time and effort into nurturing and maintaining meaningful connections? This one I want to stop at, because what can sometimes happen is friendships and relationships can be breaking down, and we hold people up to a huge standard that we don't actually meet ourselves. And sometimes we need to do the work. Sometimes it takes reflection. If all these relationships are crumbling, maybe the common denominator is me. This is something I had to reflect on. What is it about me that's bringing out this element in these people? One way you can see that is, if you have someone who you're having a relationship which seems to be changing, find out how their relationship is with other people around them. Is it just me that relationship is acting like that with? And if so, what is it about me that's bringing this out of them, as well as speaking to them about this thing, right? And it leads me on to the next part, which is number 3, is, what actions can you take to improve communication, deepen relationships, and resolve conflict? We flee from conflict, but on the other side of conflict is trust. I heard a brilliant quote once, which was, if you don't give me the chance or the opportunity to fail, I will never be able to succeed. If you're not vulnerable with people, then you don't give them the risk to fail, right? But then you also, when you're vulnerable with people, give them the opportunity to succeed. You entrust them with some part of you, and they fall through. They protect it. They keep your secrets. They nurture you when you need to. They're there for you when you ask for help. And then because of that, you build trust over time, because that means that, okay, I can rely on this person. And then what you're vulnerable with them for gets larger and larger. And over time, you build really strong relationships as a result. Without being vulnerable, which is, for me, is the first step, all the rest doesn't happen. So sometimes when it comes to looking at how to improve your communication, deepen relationships, and resolve conflict, it's sometimes thinking about, what can I do within myself to help this as well? So Number 5 is on this wheel of life is personal growth and learning. 3 questions. Number 1 is, how committed am I to personal growth and continuous learning? And be honest with yourself. If you're not committed, then that's fine. If you're happy to stay where you are, don't get carried away with all the social media stuff saying you have to be a billionaire and all this kind of stuff. If you're happy with what you have, then that might be fine. You know, you've got enough money to keep you going, you've got friends, you've got family, and you love life. That's enough. There's a lot of people who have a lot more in terms of finances, for example, but they don't have well-being. You know, all those things are really important to say. So how committed am I to personal growth and continuous learning? Number 2, am I actively seeking opportunities to expand my knowledge, skills, and interests? If you do have a growth mindset and you're reaching to improve yourself all the time, what are you doing about that? Are you actively seeking opportunities? Is your mind tuned to opportunities so that when they come, you recognize them? You know, and when they do come, do you take the leap? Do you risk? Do you put yourself in a situation where you're right in ready for that opportunity? There's a quote that says, if you're already ready, you don't have to get ready, or something like that, something along those lines. The idea is you continuously improving, you continuously training, so that when the opportunities come, you don't have to start from scratch. There's an idea about luck, which is a mixture of opportunity and preparedness. And I find that really powerful, because if you have the opportunity and you're not prepared, luck means nothing. If you're prepared but the opportunity doesn't come, then it's not lucky either. So there's definitely an element of us being prepared and continuously seeking out these things, so that when these opportunities come, we're in a position where we'll be the right person for that job. Number 3 is, what steps can you take to invest in your personal development and pursue lifelong learning? It's kind of answered in what I mentioned before, but what steps can you take? Actually come up with answers to that question. What are you not doing? What could you be doing, but actually you might mean that you have later nights or earlier mornings, or what are the things that you could be doing but you're probably not doing? And be honest with yourself. Next up, we're looking at number 6, recreation and fun. This is really important. I find the older you get, I think we're really good at this as children, but life, education, work kind of beat it out of us as we go, and we end up having a point where there's actually very little fun. And for me, fun and recreation is when you have enjoyment without there being a specific outcome attached to it. So there's one thing doing something you're purposeful about, like it's your purpose, but you're doing it to help someone else, for example. Fun for me is things like hobbies, things like, oh, I just want to paint today. I want to take a stroll in the park. I want to go to the park. I want to go on the swings as a grown person, you know, all those kind of things. So 3 questions to help is, how well do you prioritize activities that bring you joy, relaxation, and fulfillment? This is really important, because especially when people are looking for balance in life and you know, the work-play balance, it's important to have, by the way, I use work and play as opposed to work and life. I feel like separating work from life is detrimental to me. Life is the overall umbrella, and underneath our work, which are things for a outcome, like say financial, for example, and then play, things which don't have an outcome for me. Number 2 is, are you engaging in hobbies or recreational activities that recharge and energize you? That's really important as well. We can go through life giving, especially if you're a parent or an older brother or sister, or you lead a community. You're always there for other people, you're supporting them, you're creating safe spaces. What feeds into you? What activities can you do that feeds into you? And number 3, what changes can you make to ensure you have more time for leisure and enjoyment in your life? One of the biggest things that comes up a lot of the time when we're thinking about these things, oh, I don't have time for fun. Okay, so how can you make time for fun? If fun is important to you and you're stressed out all the time and you need release, then you need fun. And if you need fun, you need to prioritize it. The question is more, how can you bring it up on your priorities list? And recognize that, like you on the airplanes, when they say that you need to put the mask on yourself first before you give it to other people, sometimes we need to do that with some of these spokes of the wheel of life as well. Next up is environment and surroundings. So 3 questions that can help me in terms of the wheel of life for that is, Number one, how does your physical environment support or hinder your well-being and productivity? If you're in a toxic environment, get out of there, man. Like, there's one thing about complaining about where we are. Oh, it's cold. Oh, there's also too much stress, or this boss is annoying me, or these colleagues, or these neighbors. If that's the case, what can you do about it? There's a solution. You can find a new job, you can find a new home, you can, all these kind of things. Now, I'm not saying these things are easy, and I'm not saying things are like not time consuming. It might mean that, okay, this is happening right now, but I want to get out of it. I'm going to give myself a 5-year element. I think in 5 years, you can do most things. So especially if you're tackling one problem. So, yes, number 2, are you satisfied with the organization, cleanliness, and aesthetics of your surroundings? This one is really simple. Sometimes you just need to blitz it. Spring clean, you know. Are things in order? Do you understand where things go? There's a link between your physical surroundings and your mental surroundings. So they say a clean desk is a clean mind, and vice versa. Me personally, in a tangible way, I genuinely find that if I find myself stressed and I'm under the weather and all this kind of stuff, sometimes all I need to do is look around and I realize the state of what I'm living in, and I'm like, oh, I need to fix this. And I know it sounds simple, I know it sounds arbitrary, but it genuinely, for me, makes a really big difference. I feel different as I clean the space, and it smells nice and it looks nice, and it's, you know, light is coming in and things look airy, there's space on my table, things like that. I genuinely feel better. And so it might be worth considering for you as well. Number 3 is, what actions can you take to create a more supportive and inspiring environment? And that might mean bringing in help from people around you, friends, family, neighbors, colleagues. What can they do to help you support your environment? If you're trying to keep things clean, how can you bring yourself a cleaner into the role? How can you put funds aside so you can afford that once a month? How can you get the people who are living with you to engage in fun cleaning time as part of your way to connect with each other? How can you, like, one of the things I love about Japan that I found out recently is that, first of all, for me, it's one of the cleanest places in the world. But one of the reasons I found out is that in school, the children clean the classrooms. And so by the time you become an adult, you're so used to cleaning things that you just don't drop, you just don't litter, because you know you're going to clean it up. But it's also part of the culture now to keep things clean. Number 8 on the wheel of life is spirituality and mindfulness. 3 questions I ask myself for that are, number 1, how connected do I feel to my inner self and higher purpose? That's a really big question. How connected do I feel to it? Do I feel detached? Am I just on the hamster wheel, just trying to get to the next day and next paycheck? Am I not even considering my inner self and higher purpose at all? Like, a lot of this comes with reflection, creating space within my day to actually resonate with all of this and say to myself, okay, where am I? Like, what would my younger self be proud of me right now? Am I proud of me with the things I'm doing? Am I making decisions in line with who I want to be? What is my purpose, and am I going towards that? Am I activating my gifts on an everyday basis? All these questions are things that I would suggest or maybe even offer for you to ask yourself as a way to improve your relationship with your inner self and your higher purpose on a route to raising that number towards 10 on your spirituality and mindfulness. Number 2 on that spirituality and mindfulness spoke on the wheel of life is, are you practicing mindfulness or engaging in spiritual practices that align with your beliefs? Start with the beliefs. What do we believe? And through life, you're probably going to find different stages. Your beliefs will shift. Through when you're born, there are certain things that we learn in our formative years which basically form the foundation of how we navigate the world. These are influenced by the people around us, our family, our friends, our culture, our country of origin, and that would often decide some of the basics of what our belief system is. But as we grow up, we have different experiences that challenge those beliefs. We learn different things. We become logical, and critical thinking kicks in, and we start to challenge some of the things we might believe or create new beliefs completely. So then the question is, am I practicing mindfulness? Am I reflecting on those things? Am I engaging in spiritual practices as well as tools to help me align with those beliefs? One of the things that can happen when it comes to fulfillment is it helps when our beliefs are in line with our thoughts, actions, and behaviors. When we're not in alignment, we can find all kinds of cognitive dissonance. We can find ourselves pulling away from ourselves. We can find ourselves lost because we're moving away from that. Number 3, third question that I ask for spiritual and mindfulness is, what steps can I take to cultivate a deeper sense of spirituality and inner peace? This might take some research. Sometimes it might be something that doesn't come up naturally. If it's not something you've even experienced, you might find yourself not even knowing where to start. Have a look around, Google it, ask around, what do other people do? Find what resonates with you and give it a try. When it comes to cultivating that, for me, a lot of it is taking time for things like prayer and meditation and reflection, and trying to factor it into my day. And I realized sometimes there was I'm saying a lot of quotes right now, but there was a quote where it said that, they were talking about prayer in this case. They were saying, I'm too busy to pray. And then the response was, because you're busy, you need to pray. I pray because I'm so busy, and you can replace prayer with whatever it is that you might be doing. We've mentioned joy, for example, fulfillment, all that kind of stuff. We sometimes put those things, which are actually the foundations of what our lived experience are, away in replacement for the tangible, tactical things of the day-to-day, without realizing that actually we need this to be able to have a good lived experience. And these things are the things that really we should be changing. Okay, number 9, and the final part of our wheel of life, is contribution and giving back. 3 questions I ask is, how am I making a positive impact on the people and communities around me? For me, giving back is really important as a general value, and I'm always looking for opportunities to improve the lives of the people around me, and as well as my own life. If it's not something you do, that's fine. But if it's something that's important to you, it's really good to really reflect on that question. How am I making a positive impact? And it might be small things. Did I make someone smile today? Did I give someone a compliment? You'll be surprised, especially in this day and age, how far a compliment goes. I've seen people almost fall over by just someone saying good morning, because they live in London and people just don't do that, and you'll be surprised how far that takes them. There was someone who said that to me once, and years later, I still think about that man. Just big beaming smile on his face. It's like, good morning. It's like, it is a good morning. And that changed my whole day. And then you have the other ends of things, like, you might be creating business, you might be putting money into a charity or starting your own. All those kind of things can happen as well. Or giving like a little bit to the people around you if someone needs to borrow money, for example. Next up, number 2 on contributions and giving back is, are you engaged in any volunteer work or acts of kindness that contribute to a greater good? Now, we've mentioned about things like charities and things like that, but there's that part of acts of kindness, and there's RAOK, random acts of kindness. It's a really, really good principle to be looking at, is actually actively looking on a day-to-day basis, what can I do that would be kind for someone today? Who can I call and say how much they mean to me? Who can I help with their bags coming out of the supermarket? Who can I reach out to who needs help online, for example? Who can I offer my support to? What services can I do that I can offer something for free and give people a taster, or help someone just because I want to help them? Anything can be towards a greater good. We contribute in that, and often, we don't do it for return, but for me, I found that doing those and getting into the habit of that, things come back as well. And number 3, and the final question, is what opportunities can I explore to give back and make a difference in the world? I literally just said it, random acts of kindness, looking out for opportunities on the left and right, and really getting our mind in tune with the idea that 1, we are capable of giving back, 2, we are worthy, or we have worth and value to be able to give, and number 3, that we actually want to, without anything in return. We're not giving them a compliment expecting them to give it back to us. We're not giving them money expecting it back. It's because actually I just want to give. I want to help. I hope these have been helpful. And again, I'm going to recap over some of those things. The 9 areas of the wheel of life are career and work, finances, health and well-being, relationships, personal growth and learning, recreation and fun, environment and surroundings, spirituality and mindfulness, and contribution and giving back. And there are 5 questions I would ask myself generally on any of those spokes. Number 1, where would I rate this area on a scale of 1 to 10? Number 2, what factors are influencing that rating right now at this point in life? Number 3, what steps can I take to get closer to 10? Number 4, what are the barriers in doing so? And number 5, what can I do to reduce or remove those barriers? I hope this has been really helpful for you. I hope using the Wheel of Life gives you an opportunity to reflect on your life as a whole, and helps you become more and more fulfilled in different areas, in a way that different areas are not working by themselves. They are connected to other parts, and so holistically you'll be able to get to a higher space. If you've enjoyed this, make sure to subscribe, comment, like, share, all of those things, and get it through to people who might be interested, or this might be your act of kindness for someone who might need to hear this. My name is Andre Bright, and I look forward to speaking to you again.